Like, I'm not like I don't know, like, I feel like I don't know. I think that's, we played fast, we played up tempo. That's where like I kind of go.
What were you going to say though? You don't know.
I don't know.
Caitlin Clark has finally confirmed what many of her fans have suspected throughout the season. For anyone following the Fever closely, this is something worth paying attention to. Recently, she appeared on Sue Bird's podcast, and while she usually chooses her words carefully to stay on the safe side of public relations, this time she let a little more honesty slip through. She gave fans a rare glimpse into what's really happening behind the scenes, sharing her feelings and experiences in a way that felt refreshingly candid. It's clear from her comments that she has some frustrations with her current coaching situation. She didn't attack anyone directly, nor did she call out specific individuals by name, but the underlying message was unmistakable. Listening carefully to what she praised, what she questioned, and how she described her experience in the pro league reveals a lot about the challenges she's facing. This is significant because the dynamics she's talking about don't just affect her. They have ripple effects on the careers of women's basketball players for years to come. Understanding her perspective gives fans and analysts insight into how team dynamics can shape performance, morale, and even the future trajectory of a player's career. Before diving deeper into her statements, it's worth asking the fans directly, is Stephanie White holding Caitlin Clark back? Drop your thoughts in the comments, yes or no, and make sure to hit that like button. Fever supporters have been debating this all season, pointing to a slower pace of play and the way Caitlin is often positioned off the ball as signs of frustration. There have been explanations offered, injuries, missed games, and other challenges, but when you look closely, this seems more like a reflection of Stephanie White's coaching style than anything else.
When you see the Mavs just play differently without Luka on the floor, he's a guy who's high usage rate, the ball's in his hands. When he's not on the floor, that ball is moving, it's popping, multiple players getting involved in action, and everyone's stepping up.
She actually mentioned that she appreciates the style of play the Mavericks use when Luka Doncic isn't on the court. According to her, the game flows more smoothly in that setup, with more movement and everyone getting a chance to contribute. It's the kind of style that emphasizes teamwork and shared responsibility, rather than relying too heavily on a single superstar. Hearing her say this makes you realize how much the flow of a team can impact a player's effectiveness and overall enjoyment of the game. Interestingly, her comment also brings to mind a notorious take from sports analyst Caroline Peake, which some might call controversial or even misguided. That moment highlighted how differently experts and players can view the same game situation, and it emphasizes that insiders like Caitlin often notice subtleties that casual observers might miss. It's a reminder that what works on paper doesn't always translate to what feels right on the court, and player perspectives can shine a light on these overlooked dynamics.
I think that Indiana is even more dangerous when Caitlin Clark doesn't play because she's a ball-dominant guard. The ball's in her hands a lot, so you know what you need to try to take away.
It's really the same mindset she's expressing throughout her comments. The belief that a team functions best when the ball isn't dominated by a single player. Caitlin seems to value a style of play where responsibility and opportunity are shared, and everyone has a chance to make an impact. That approach encourages more movement, more creativity, and ultimately, a more dynamic team performance. Now, let's take a look at what happened when Caitlin returned from her injury. This is where Stephanie White's coaching decisions become particularly noticeable. The way the team was managed post-injury provides insight into how the coaching philosophy clashes, or perhaps aligns, with Caitlin's preferred style. Observing these moments can reveal a lot about the tension between a player's natural instincts and the strategic approach imposed by the coaching staff. It's an important piece of the puzzle for anyone trying to understand why some of Caitlin's frustrations might exist and how they affect the overall performance of the Fever.
You know, I don't know, maybe I'm naive, but I don't worry about Caitlin getting back into the flow offensively. I worry about, I wouldn't say worry, but I think my biggest concern is when we reintegrate her, how do we continue to keep our ball movement and getting the ball going, not just side to side, but baseline to baseline.
It quickly becomes clear that the focus isn't necessarily on maximizing Caitlin Clark's full potential. Instead, it feels more like the priority is ensuring that Caitlin doesn't disrupt the coach's preferred system. And that's where the tension arises, because Caitlin shines brightest, and the fans are most engaged. when she's in control of the offense, dictating the pace and making smart, instinctive decisions on the court. She's well aware of this, which is why, during her conversation with Sue Bird, there's a noticeable undercurrent of frustration in what she says. For once, she lets her guard down and gives fans a peek into her true feelings about the team's approach. In this interview, she doesn't hold back as much as usual, offering glimpses of both admiration and subtle critique. One particularly interesting moment comes when she talks about her time at Iowa. She openly praises the way her college coach ran practices, emphasizing structure, intensity, and attention to detail. But if you listen carefully, there's an almost accidental comparison being made, a quiet commentary on how her current coaching situation differs.
Even our backup post players, like, I always think about like how Coach Bluter like ran practices and things, and like I'm very fortunate looking back and like now going to like watch other colleges' practices and things like that. Like, she really like was so intentional about like making sure everyone was on the same page and like knew what they were doing and knew their role. In a way, like when I talk to people about it, I like joke like she brainwashed people, not like actually, but like
No,
you
part
like
of it is a
were
little
like
bit of it.
brainwashed into like,
Yeah.
okay, if you drive here, like you're going here and you're going here. And like even now at the professional level, I'm like, how do people not know like where to move? Like it blows my mind still. Like, but I think it just makes me like really appreciative of like what Coach Bluter was able to do when we were at Iowa. Like she was so smart. She was able to like construct a team and make sure everyone always knew what they were going to do, whether you were the smartest basketball player on the team or you weren't. Like you were always on the same page with your teammate.
There's a lot to break down in this segment of Caitlin's interview. First and foremost, she's giving a huge compliment to Lisa Blutter, her coach at Iowa. This is a coach who took a roster that wasn't loaded with 4- and 5-star recruits, yet still managed to lead the team to the national championship game not once, but twice. That level of success doesn't happen by chance. It's a product of careful planning, excellent coaching, and a team that understood their roles perfectly. Every player knew exactly where they were supposed to be, what they were supposed to do, and how to execute it with precision. It was like watching a well-oiled machine in action, where each piece fits seamlessly into the overall system. Now, contrast that with what Caitlin is experiencing in the WNBA, and the difference is stark. When she talks about being mind-blown, that her teammates don't always seem to know where they should be on the court, it's clear she's not talking about minor mistakes or isolated incidents. She's pointing out a structural issue, something fundamental about how the team operates. And that statement can't simply be brushed off as casual criticism. It's a serious observation about the dynamics of her current team. When your star player openly expresses disbelief at basic positioning and awareness, that isn't a chemistry problem, it's a coaching problem. Implicitly, Caitlin is highlighting a gap that Stephanie White, as the head coach, is responsible for addressing. After all, it's the coach's job to establish standards, instill discipline, and ensure every player understands their role.
Repetition's a real thing. Practice is a real thing. And if we listen to some of these Indiana Fever players speak about what's currently going on, there's not nearly enough practice. Caitlin Clark speaks about how in the WNBA, players still don't know the correct spot to be in. We see that often this year. Last year, that was running rampant all over these Indiana Fever games. You couldn't go one Indiana Fever game without Caitlin Clark throwing a pass to a spot where the player needed to run to. Instead, the player ran the complete opposite direction.
And the reality is, the issue doesn't seem to be solely about Stephanie White. As analyst Ben Dallin highlights, many of these same problems were visible last season as well. Players were frequently unsure of their positioning, practice reps were limited, and there seemed to be a general sense of confusion within the offense. For most players, these might be seen as minor growing pains or temporary hurdles, but for Caitlin, it's starting to feel like something more serious. This is her second year, and the patterns she's encountering are becoming increasingly frustrating, not just during games but in practices and team interactions off the court as well. What makes this particularly telling is how it begins to reveal underlying tensions within the team structure. Whether Caitlin intended it or not, her comments, observations, and the way she describes the situation effectively signal that there's significant friction simmering behind the scenes. These aren't just isolated complaints. They point to ongoing challenges in leadership, communication, and team dynamics that could impact not only her own performance, but the overall cohesion of the Fever moving forward.
I think one of the special parts of your game is that balance, and clearly you figured that out early. So like, what in that, if you can think back to that time, like what are you learning about that balance and how to achieve both?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's like always been a part of my game. And I think the pace at which I play, like that's where a lot of my assists come, like in transition. Like I'm not like I don't know, like I feel like I don't know. I think that's, we played fast, we played up tempo. That's where like I kind of got.
What were you going to say though? You don't know.
I don't know. Anyway.
Caitlin actually pauses mid-thought at one point, and that moment alone is telling. She's describing how most of her assists come in transition when the team is moving quickly, setting the pace, and playing to her strengths. She's just about to articulate the kind of player she isn't, the player that doesn't thrive in a slower, more restrictive system, but then she stops abruptly. You can almost picture the internal calculation happening in real time. If she had finished that sentence, she would have essentially been admitting that the current system doesn't play to her abilities, a statement that would have instantly made headlines. Instead, she opts for a quick shrug and I don't know, which is really a carefully measured choice. Everyone watching can tell that it's not genuine uncertainty. She knows exactly what she's thinking, but recognizes the potential fallout if she says it out loud. Up to this point, Caitlin has already hinted at her frustrations with her coach, notably that her teammates aren't receiving enough guidance on positioning and floor awareness. Now, she subtly suggests that the system she's being asked to operate within doesn't align with her skills and instincts. Put together, a mismatched system plus a lack of clear direction can be career-limiting, even for a player of her caliber. But what follows in the next two clips is even more revealing. These moments go beyond mere hints of frustration. They practically confirm what fans have speculated all season about how Caitlin has been coached, or perhaps more accurately, held back. And this isn't just about offensive schemes, shot selection, or playing off the ball.
I think the risk assessment thing, like, maybe it's a toxic part of me, but I always think it's going to go well. And then I throw it and it doesn't go well.
Honestly, a little delusion is nice.
Yeah, I definitely
feel like
have some
in
delusion.
order to be great,
for sure.
You have to have it.
For sure, I definitely have some delusion. And all the good players have delusion.
Yes.
Like, that's just true, the truth. Like, you have to think you're better than you actually are at the end of the day. Like,
100%.
you have to have that confidence about yourself.
Caitlin really understands the core of the game. She knows that to succeed at the highest level, you have to trust yourself enough to make the play and fully believe in your ability to execute it. That confidence isn't arrogance. It's pure instinct. And instinct doesn't appear out of nowhere. It's the result of countless hours of practice and repetition. Malcolm Gladwell, in his book Blink, explains how humans can make split-second decisions almost automatically because years of experience train the subconscious to recognize patterns instantly. That description could be written about Caitlin Clark. Years of relentless training, thousands of game scenarios burned into her muscle memory, and an extraordinary basketball IQ allow her to read the court in ways most players can't even comprehend. Her reputation is built on this unique combination, not overthinking, but reading, reacting, and creating plays that can completely change the course of a game. When she's allowed to play freely, when she's in her element, Caitlin becomes an unstoppable force. She's not just a game winner, she's a player who can elevate the entire sport. Fans flock to arenas and TV ratings soar when she's on the floor, not because of a playbook or a system, but because of her ability to make magic happen in real time. That's exactly why her next comment is so concerning. It hints that the very instinct and freedom that define Caitlin Clark as a player might be constrained.
But I think that's even been something like me and Steph have like always talk about when we go and watch film, and even like that New York game where like I played really, really well. Obviously scored a lot of points. I think I had 9 assists or 10 assists that game. This last game this year. I started the fourth quarter off with like 3 turnovers in a row or 2 turnovers in a row, and Steph yanked me and she was like this is like a learning moment. Like you got to be able to like, yes, like maybe it could have been there, like maybe you could have thrown a little bit better of a pass, maybe they could have caught it, but like, do we need that in this moment? Like, no. Right. And then she subbed me back in, and there was a play where I kind of got a steal and like we're going in transition and Kelsey Mitchell just like takes off down the middle of the floor. And so there's like two people kind of by her. And I literally like go to grab the ball and then I like just dribble out. And I like literally just start smiling so big. And I look at Steph and I like told her after the game.
That better be on film.
Yeah, I'm like, you don't understand how hard it was for me to not throw that. And she's like, oh, I know, trust me. Everybody was like, we saw you about to throw that.
Look, I completely understand the idea of being responsible, making smart decisions, and playing within the moment. In a coach's meeting, that sounds perfect on paper. But did anyone actually watch that play? Kelsey Mitchell was completely open, presenting an opportunity Caitlin has been making instinctively since her teenage years. And yet, she paused, just for a moment, but in that moment, the hesitation spoke volumes. Why? Because it seems like the current system under Stephanie White is subtly but steadily chipping away at the traits that make Caitlin exceptional. She's being nudged into a more passive, cautious role, one that prioritizes safety over instinct. That shift doesn't just slow the pace of the game, it diminishes the spark and competitive fire that make Caitlin so thrilling to watch. Fans aren't coming to arenas or buying tickets to see a watered-down version of her game. They come to witness her in full command, making plays, dictating tempo, and creating moments that flip games upside down. Right now, it feels like the Fever are placing a governor on the very engine that should be powering the entire franchise. Caitlin's unique abilities, her instinctive reads, and her ability to make lightning-fast decisions are what set the team apart. Constraining that potential doesn't just affect her performance. It limits the excitement and energy the whole team and fanbase thrive on. The concern isn't hypothetical. It's a visible shift in how one of the league's brightest stars is being used, and it has major implications for the team's identity and success moving forward.
I have a sneaking suspicion. You guys know what putting a governor on a car is? I feel like Stephanie White has put a governor on Caitlin Clark. No, I need you to play this way. I need you to be extra careful. I need you to blah, blah, blah. When Caitlin Clark is saying, if I'm going to play make, there are going to be some turnovers with it. In case you're wondering who the leader in turnovers is in NBA history, it's LeBron James. I mean, how many games have we seen in LeBron's career where he's went for 28, 7, and 9? That's what you're dealing with here, all right? And he's going to have turnovers. She's going to have turnovers. You got to let Caitlin cook. You got to turn her loose.
This point isn't new in the world of sports. Even elite players like LeBron James occasionally turn the ball over, but teams accept it because they know the upside far outweighs the risk. Letting your best players operate freely is part of building a winning system. It's about trusting their instincts and allowing them to take control when the moment calls for it. The same principle applies in the WNBA. When your top talent hesitates or is forced into a restricted role, it's not just a minor tactical issue. It becomes a major concern for the team's competitive identity, and this is precisely where warning signs should start flashing for the WNBA at large. When a superstar like Caitlin Clark, someone capable of changing the outcome of games single-handedly, is constrained by coaching philosophy or overly cautious systems, it raises broader questions about player development, team strategy, and even fan engagement. Teams are built around their stars, and when those stars aren't allowed to play to their strengths, it doesn't just impact wins and losses. It impacts the league's excitement, ratings, and the overall growth of women's basketball. The alarm bells aren't just about Caitlin or the Fever. They're about a larger trend of restricting elite talent and what that means for the future of the sport.
Also, when you don't play, there's a dip, like a substantial dip. So how do you handle, does it impact your patience? You know what I mean? Like you're coming back from this injury and you know this, everybody knows this, that when you play that changes.
Yeah.
I guess the better question is, how are you like managing it so it doesn't impact your patience?
Yeah, I
know you want to be out there.
Definitely been hard.
Yeah.
Well, like, I'm going to go to every road game no matter what, like whether I'm playing or not. Like, and it's hard because obviously I do feel this like responsibility of like being out there and playing, and like, not that I like think there's like a fear of any of this ever going away. Like that doesn't happen when like LeBron or Steph get hurt. Like they're always going to be there.
No,
like,
you'll be back.
Yeah, exactly. So, but like, you do want to play. Like, you want to give people something to cheer about or scream about, or, you know, people spend so much time and money and resources to come and watch you play. And
Yes, this clip is centered on Caitlin's desire to get back on the court. But buried within her words is a crucial point that should have every executive at the Fever and across the WNBA paying close attention. Fans are the ones investing time and money to watch her play. They come for the excitement, the skill, and the moments that make them jump out of their seats. Right now, it seems like she's being restricted from delivering the kind of show that people signed up to see, and that's a serious problem. When a player of her caliber is held back, it doesn't just affect the team's performance. It directly impacts fan engagement and overall interest in the league. The risk here is clear. If Caitlin is forced into a system that stifles her natural style, the energy and excitement that drive attendance and viewership will inevitably decline. While her personality, leadership, and personal story certainly draw attention, basketball is ultimately about the product on the floor. Fans want to see elite talent unleashed, not constrained by overly cautious tactics. Sports commentator Jason Whitlock touched on this point in a way that sparked debate, but at its core, there's a kernel of truth. The entertainment value of the game depends on allowing its stars to shine. If Caitlin isn't allowed to play the way she was built to play, the consequences extend beyond the team. They ripple through the league, affecting ratings, ticket sales, and the overall reputation of women's basketball.